Good evening. It is 5:30 and we'll call the meeting of the Humboldt County Human Rights Commission to order. I would like to start by making a comment that I will repeat more than once during this meeting, and that is to start with admission to our meeting is monitored by the chair. Only at appropriate times during the agenda will the public be allowed to speak or contribute to the discourse. When the public is offered this opportunity, please raise your hand if you're on Zoom and use the proper emoji for acknowledgement. Anyone being disruptive may be muted and or removed from the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order and the attendance.
Okay. Jim, here, present, and Bird, here, and Rick,
Here.
and Peter. And I think we're just missing Larry, I'm assuming excused.
He's excused, yes.
And Guy,
I'm here.
present, and Jamie here, and Carol, and Ellen, we're all present, so we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll do the land acknowledgement. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We honor all Indigenous people, territories, and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align with and follow the lead of local Indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. We'll have a moment of silence. Okay, at this time, would there be any agenda adjustments requested by anybody? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the previous meeting. That would be July 3rd, 2025. So moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Bird seconds. Were there any?
I was quite late in getting them out, so I'm happy to wait longer if anyone feels like they need to.
They're moving approval as presented, so. Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please just raise your hand. It's unanimous. Okay. And Carol, treasurer's report.
We had one check that was withdrawn on July the 16th. Our running balance is $3,145.35. So we only had one transaction.
Did you recall what that transaction was?
This is OTC check for $50.
Over the counter is often what OTC means. It's like a withdrawal.
I don't recall what that would have been for.
That was check number 1011.
Now, I don't know if it would be appropriate at this time. I guess we can wait till the committee report. There will be a bit of business relevant to treasurer in just a few minutes. So, any questions or comments for Carol on the treasurer's report? Okay. If not, we'll go ahead and introduce our speakers this evening. Dino Novello works for the County of Humboldt, and Larry Gemintner is a retired professor at Cal State Stanislaus. Right, I got it right. Okay, and they're both here to make a presentation on behalf of the citizens oversight community oversight police practices. Very good. It takes me a while, but I eventually get it. Anyway, we'd like to learn about what your group does and maybe you can answer a few questions in the process. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Hi everyone. My name is Dino Novello, and I am the chair of the Community Oversights on Police Practices Board by the city of Eureka. And the purpose of this board is to increase transparency of and public confidence in public matters, including the complaint process. Oftentimes we refer to this board as a COP board, COPP, and it serves as an advisory board to the city council on police community relations and police operations, including community engagement, crime prevention, and control efforts. The COP board promotes and encourages open communication, constructive dialogue, and cooperation between police department and residents, recognizing policing in the city of Eureka is a shared responsibility. And so we also, in addition to this, to our board, we also have an independent auditor, and they are an independent third-party contractor, currently in the OIR group. They provide independent reviews of citizen complaint process and review and make recommendations regarding police department policies and practices to the city manager, and they provide reports to the Community Oversight on Police Practices Board. So to give you a general overview of what we do is we do meet every quarterly on the fourth Tuesday at 3:30 at City Hall here in Eureka. And the way it works is we have an opportunity to have the independent auditor group. They review and look at complaints from the public, or also too, if there's any internal processes that they look at. They also look at internal processes. And so what they do is that they review these things and for certain policies that Eureka Police Department have. And so they oftentimes make these reports to us, and they give us a brief summary. The board has an opportunity to ask questions and to make recommendations. We also have an opportunity for Chief Stevens to make a report to us and let us know how staffing levels are going, how he usually provides some kind of specific report, and it could be on almost anything. Like last time we met, we looked at traffic calls. And so they're very detailed, and all of our meetings are on the City of Eureka website. And there's also times that, and then also City Manager Slattery also provides a report as well. Sometimes whenever there's something controversial that may come up, the independent auditor group reviews what happens, and they interview staff, and they then share and provide a report to us. And me, and alongside board member Giventer and for three other board members on this group, that we oftentimes have that opportunity to have dialogue. And given especially nowadays with the state of our policing, it's important that, and I'm grateful to be given the opportunity for regular citizens to be able to provide feedback regarding things that are happening within the department. We have reviewed, we've reviewed at least one, maybe two police shootings. We've also looked at the situation that happened last year at Cal Poly Humboldt. Even during the protest, it was University Police Department that was the ones responding to the scene, but they required, or they had asked for EPD officers and even our police chief to respond to it. And so we were able to watch videos regarding what's what happened on EPD's side of things, and then also make some concrete recommendations. And so there's times that that we all share things that maybe it, you know, we represent the public basically. And so we invite all of you, if any of you would like to attend, they're open to the public. Again, they're at 3:30 on the fourth Tuesday of the month. We also invite community organizations to make a brief presentation and also share their experiences regarding Eureka Police Department. And if there's a community organization that is interested in participating in our CO board, then I encourage people to talk with Shannon Fazio. She is the executive assistant to city manager Slattery. And how did I do, Larry?
Pretty good.
So I think that I missed that. Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the stuff that you missed. It's not much. Okay, so let's get real. A few years ago, George Floyd was murdered by police. At the same time, there were a number of police shootings and use of force incidents around the country. Here in Eureka, there was a scandal regarding inappropriate, to say the least, texting among police officers. That prompted the city council to do something. What they did was pass an ordinance that created this commission of 7 seats. We have a couple of vacancies right now. That would be an oversight group of the Eureka Police Department. Following recommendations and models of the National Organization for Citizen Oversight of Policing. There is such a national organization. They have a model. That model was adopted. The ordinance also provided for an independent police auditor. This is a group, it's somewhat, it's called the OIR, that doesn't stand for anything, it's just initials. They are comprised of experts in law and in policing. Some ex-police officers, as well as lawyers and other. In other words, they know what they're doing with respect to appropriate policing in communities, cities, and the like, and they operate throughout the United States. So the city of Eureka drafted a professional services agreement. It's in effect a contract with these groups. So what happens is that every investigation that is generated internally to the police department is reviewed not only by their internal investigators of the police, but then it is separately reviewed and independently reviewed by the OIR group using evidence that's open and provided to them. They, in turn, prepare a report. Here's an example to the COP Commission. So every critical incident that involves the Eureka Police Department is reviewed by 3 sets of eyes. And in addition to internally generated investigative reports, critical incidents involve any use of force and any officer-involved shooting. And in addition to that, every single citizen complaint that is submitted to the police department also receives the same level of reviews by 3 sets of eyes. A couple of things, usually they don't meet the public attention, but a couple of things that have reached the public attention. Dino has pointed out, we did a very careful, comprehensive review of what happened at Cal Poly. And we've also reviewed recently the protests that have occurred on the streets here of Eureka, receiving detailed reports and oversight from the OIR group and from the chief of police and their group. Over the past 2 years, 24 recommendations have been adopted for modifications and improvement of police practice by the Eureka Police Department. Every one of them has been accepted. Every one of them has been implemented or in the process of being implemented. We are the only police department in Humboldt County that has an oversight group. 2 years ago, the civil grand jury undertook a study of police oversight, and they issued a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors to have a similar oversight structure for the Sheriff's Department. That has not been accepted. There's a whole story. A guy is familiar with it. What we have here over time has been an improvement in the Eureka Police Department in its response and in its services. And what we're seeing here is actually an increase in morale among the police officers. It is actually helping with recruitment because police officers are and want to be, and we appreciate them as professionals. They have a tough job. It's not only dealing with crime reports, but it's also dealing with such things as mental health services on the street, and it's also dealing with public safety with respect to the protection of our constitutional rights to protest. All of that requires top-notch policing, and police officers like that. And we respect them. They know that they're professionals, but professionals in this line of work, as well as other work, are accountable. And they like that. So we've seen that happen. We're gradually seeing an increase in recruitment. More recently, there are promotion opportunities within the police department, and we've had applicants. We're involved in reviewing these applicants for promotion to sergeant and so forth. So we're proud of our police department, and we also generate that pride because we expect them to have high standards, and we ask questions and hold them to that. We certainly do invite you to observe. We're subject to the Brown Act. Everything we do is public information. All these reports that I'm referring to, they're all online. So search it out with the Eureka website.
And I would like to add a few other things too. That Larry mentioned the report that the independent auditor group they create. So every quarter when we meet, they give us several cases of the cases that they have observed, and in each case they provide recommendations. And so during each quarter, we review those and provide feedback and make recommendations to them. So all of these, so they provide us every quarter. They provide us a list of the reports that we're going to talk about. Another report that they generate is a list of like reports that in very brief settings, like these are the ones that we reviewed by this on this date. These are and a general sentence or two. And that's nice too, because then we get to see what may be coming down the line. Some of these cases they're in review as we speak. Another report that they provide is a list of recommendations since they've started doing these reviews. And right now, I believe it's like 3 to 4 pages long. Like,
Yeah, so that's 2 years in 24.
oh, there's 24 now. And so all of that information is available to the public on each one of our meetings. And sometimes not only do we review these cases, oftentimes there's been at least one situation where the city council, they were considering getting flock cameras, the license plate readers for the city. And one of the things that as the city council was reviewing the policy, they're like, let's have the cop board review this policy. And before it even got presented back to the city council, we had the opportunity to review the policy and to provide feedback on what they were presenting to us. And it came back to city council, and some of that feedback that we provided was used in helping make the determination to do that. So ultimately, the city didn't. You probably know the city chose not to go to get these flock cameras, but it feels neat to feel like you're part of the process. And so some of these recommendations can come from council down to us. So like Larry said, we do have some vacancies on the board. So we encourage people to apply. So yeah.
We have some questions for you. We have a limited amount of time, but
Okay. Just real quick, it sounds like a really good program, and I'm glad it's in effect. I'm curious, how are people, say, get on the board of the COB and of the OIR? Are they appointed? Is it an election? If they're appointed, who does the appointment?
City council does the appointment
For
on the City of Eureka's website.
Okay,
There is an application to generic for any appointment to any commission board, and it's responsible to city council. The application is then reviewed by city staff. The nomination is presented in open forum at a city council meeting. You're appointed then by the city council, and there is an oath of office, and the appointments are yearly, subject to renewal.
how about the OIR? How does that work?
The OIR group, they're its own separate group. It's a third party.
So, okay, and
That's their title.
That's a contract, that's a professional services agreement. Yeah, it's would be nominally on the Eureka side, responsibility of the city manager, Miles Slattery. It's an ongoing contract. The top board on a yearly basis is charged with reviewing their performance and submitting a report on that performance to the city council.
They report on the OIR or on
The top board oversees would oversee the information that the OIR group is presented.
Okay,
Would review the character as we would judge it of their internal reviews of the police incidents. And so that's it. That makes it basically.
And so also too, before people get sworn into this top board, we also follow the same background as an officer would do. So the background is very extensive that they provide just to make sure that they have the right people on there. And we get the experience too for knowing how that process works.
thank you.
That was my question too.
okay. Right.
Was the OIR, that the same ones that investigated the officers that were in trouble with their emails and
Yes.
phone? Okay, it was the same group.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a separate report on that incident. And some of these reports are brief, and some of these reports are very extensive.
Yeah,
The most extensive reports that I recall are that one regarding police messages and texting. I already mentioned Cal Poly. That was an extensive report. We also had an extensive report, something we're quite proud of in the city of Eureka, and that's we have a mental services team that cooperates with the police department and go out on calls to depending on how they're dispatched or calls from field officers for a mental health clinician to accompany them on
that's the math.
response. Yeah, well, it's missed as it applies to sheriff, it's care, as it applies to Eureka. And those, we had extensive report, those people are very good.
I have a hypothetical for you. Do you ever get into the area of being proactive toward the police department in what you foresee as a possible problem? What I'm thinking of is, I think you mentioned it, was the number of protests that have taken place recently in Eureka. Some of them large, some of them very large, and some of them small.
Or as an example, as you could give me context, I asked the police chief during one interview about the protest. And I said, what if somebody threw a bottle of water at a police officer? What would be the response? I was a bit hesitant to deal with a hypothetical. They are prepared to gradually and appropriately deal with those type of incidents. This is something that they think in the back of their mind. Now, it's a lot different in Eureka than it is in other cities. If you look at those that No King's Day protests that you call, if you look at videos that are online, YouTube and other places of other cities, if you look in the background, you will see that those protesters are surrounded in those other cities by officers in full tactical gear carrying less than lethal weaponry, and they're surrounding the perimeter. Not so in Eureka. You know, we don't address protests that way. We had 3,000 people out there and only a scattering of police officers at important intersections. Everybody went home safe and sound, and there was.
Well, that was my point, was there was almost no police visibility. And I know there, I guess it's good to be there, but not be too visible.
Yeah, there's no point in provocation. And there's no point in the police acting out that would stimulate a response. They're there to protect and facilitate, and they did a good job doing that, in our opinion.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, well, what was the meeting time for your three?
It's 3:30 on the fourth Tuesday. And our next meeting is going to be in October.
Oh, you've got summer off.
Well, we had one in July.
Oh, it's like quarterly, every quarter. Oh, that's okay.
So it's like October, January, and March or April, yeah. But again, all of our meetings are available for viewing on the city's website. I encourage you to look at it. They're quite fascinating.
Great.
And the
And one can participate by Zoom.
Yeah.
Pardon?
City Hall, is that where they are?
Okay.
Yeah.
And we also provide an opportunity there is a public comment opportunity with every agenda item. So even as we review these reports, we do provide the public an opportunity to comment on that.
Great. Well, thank you both very much for being here tonight. We appreciate your informing us about a group I didn't know much about before. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Same here.
I'll get in touch with you, because you have something coming up might be of interest to.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is commission communications. I said I would mention this more than once, and I don't intend to do that now, but for the group in general, uh, this is still a reminder to the commission. Please notify the chair in advance of expected absences from all monthly commission meetings. And please do what you can to encourage additional members. We'll be discussing this, from a different angle here in a few minutes. But if you know of any colleagues that might be interested, not only does the top group need volunteers, but so do we. And again, with recent events at our monthly meetings, it is clear that this commission must tighten its rules regarding public participation, especially for Zoom participants. Effective tonight, no one on Zoom will be admitted to the meeting until public comment is requested, and no Zoom participant will be admitted without first indicating a raised hand emoji, which is available on your screen. If you don't follow that process, we won't be recognizing your participation. And anyone using profanity or displaying inappropriate graphic images will be muted and or removed from the meeting.
Jim, can I ask just a clarifying question?
Sure.
If they're not admitted to the Zoom, or is there an expectation they're watching this some other way? Not
They could still be watching on Access Humboldt without participating as a Zoom.
Okay, so the expectation, I'm just want for clarity in my head.
Yeah,
So
they
the
can still-
expectation is they watch on Access Humboldt, and if they want to participate or ask questions, they have to log into the Zoom and wait till that time.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you. That's all.
Gerald, were there a couple of incidents that happened in the last couple of months?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Oh, no, you didn't miss anything. It was
It wasn't an educational opportunity.
Yeah.
so okay. Under email communication, I wanted to share. Oh, I hope it's going to work. It isn't. Okay. We had an email from Centro de Pueblo regarding activities this Saturday and Saturday the 16th in Arcata. I'm trying to remember what they said, and I can't. I'm sorry, I can't bring that back up, but I'll share it with the members of the commission by email so that you can all see it. Any other members that might have commission comments? Or...
I just wanted to know if you had gotten the NORCAN thing that was Stacy Becker asking for information about anything we might have for interns or someone working with us. There's a form to fill out.
I've seen it. I haven't read it yet, but I've seen it online.
Okay, so you are taking care of that.
I will.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Guy.
Just a note you have on your guest speaker, I think it listed, September, nothing is scheduled. And I talked to you about Avenue M as a possible speaker in October. I just wanted to add to that. I've been on several Zoom meetings, actually very successful Zoom meetings this last month with Senator McGuire. He's quite an interesting character to listen to speak. Very colorful. You might actually have to mute him, which I found kind of interesting from our third most powerful person in our government. So maybe that's why he's going to be trimmed out here in another few months. But I also had a very good meeting with Chris Rogers, actually on Monday. And one of the things I asked was if he would be available to discuss the medical situation here in Humboldt County. And I thought, I don't know whether we'll be able to tie it in that quickly. So it may be successive meetings at Avenue M, which I was introduced to Jamie, there's a UC Davis program dealing with minority doctors, and I really knew nothing about it. I think it'd be great to have them do a short presentation, probably shorter than the one we heard tonight, and then maybe a follow-up down the line as soon as I can arrange it. But I'd like to get our, state legislators on board, because I'm very concerned, with the big beautiful bill and the cutbacks and everything. I don't want to wait until Mad River closes or some other shoe hits, so I'd like to think we address it early. So that's just.
Well, just so I'm clear on your proposals here, Avenue M, you proposed for October,
Yeah.
and would that be in person or on Zoom?
Don't know yet. I know the representative is here locally, but I don't know whether she'll be able to make it or not. Her office is at the Aquatic Center, so I mean, it's,
Oh, okay.
relatively closed.
Sure.
I don't know what her schedule is yet.
And as far as September is concerned, that date is open at the moment.
I didn't hear back from Roger's office actually this afternoon, but no confirmation of any dates, but I hope to get to it. And I did give them the opportunity to do just like what I've been doing, meeting them principally on Zoom. I've been meeting their aides in person,
Right.
but, I said, hey, we don't have any problem with having you come on Zoom. It's going to be fine if we have to do that.
Okay. You can all be a great help in providing ideas for presentations, and they can cover obviously a lot of different subject matter. So please feel free to offer those up so we can plan on them. Any other commissioner comments or information we need to have?
I could add a couple. I didn't want to interrupt their presentation. That's their time, but in meeting with our representatives, just in case any of you guys are interested in participating in this, AB 1388 on police misconduct did pass the assembly. It is now in the state senate, and hopefully we'll get passed, but we're waiting on that right now because they're all meeting with the public. The other one that's also related to what we just heard, AB 847 is oversight of law enforcement. And that also passed the assembly and is now in the state senate. There's a couple really good bills out there how to deal with a situation like what we have here in Eureka, and perhaps what this gentleman is going to talk about with public comment in a minute.
Okay. All right. Well, that does take us to public comment on non-agenda items. And if you're new to our meetings, you have 3 minutes to make your comments, and we may or may not respond. But if we don't respond, it's not because we don't care. It's because we're limited in what we can do at the present time. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, and go ahead.
My name is Michael Malilly. I'm a college student. I'm 49. I've had some interactions with the Arcata Police Department. They suggest on their forms that if you have a problem with the responses, that you can address it to the Humboldt Human Rights Commission. So I've tried to get some police reports. I've filled out some requests for police reports. They never get back to me. They always take the request. They never get back to me. Never supply the police reports. Well, they did one time. Years ago. They haven't recently. And then also some police complaints for misconduct and some complaints about false arrest, wanting to review the arrests. They don't get back to me on those. They just take the complaints and never get back to me. And I had some communications by email, and somebody said they were to look into them, and they never got back to me on that. I refiled some, and they got back to me. And then I also have some related stuff in court. Some deprivation of due process in court, deprivation of procedural safeguards and checks and balances. Basically, I'm having no voice for redress of grievances in court. My attorney, the courts are just proceeding on and on and on and on. They're all getting together and just shuffling me along. And the intent of court, being able to know what's going on, being able to participate in what's going on. And obviously I'm here, I want to participate. I want to be involved in my own defense. I want to be involved in becoming a better citizen, not offending. But so they're just shuffling me along, and it's basically a kangaroo court. You know, I feel like they're trafficking, like I'm a prisoner, and they're engaged in human trafficking. They just got me there so they can, you know, have a body there, somebody to malign and somebody to accuse. It's that bad. You know, they're not really, they're not issuing orders. They're not, the orders and judgments and findings that the judge makes don't get published. They're not handing out orders. The judge makes orders. They don't. The court clerk isn't handing those out afterwards. I'm having to go to the court clerk here in the office downstairs, and she doesn't have them either. She tells me the court clerk here at the office. Here in the office tells me to go to the legal aid room upstairs, and I can print it myself. I go to the legal aid room. They don't have a computer. They said I can't access criminal court stuff. There's nothing I can print myself. I go back to my attorney. Suddenly I found out my attorney. My attorney does have orders that she submitted after the hearing, but they're stamped, but they're not signed by the judge. They still were never served to me by the court clerk. So now it's a whole process of misdirection and abuse. The justice and the decorum of the court. They're supposed to, all the things they're supposed to be doing aren't happening. And it's already been 10 months. And I would like to get this dismissed because the police report, there's two incidences, one at Cypress Grove share of the cheese factory and one at Wildberry Marketplace, both involved entrapment. Where there was an entrapment scenario that took place. And so I would really like to get these arrests and the prosecutions dismissed because it's definitely it's cases of entrapment, an unconscionable act where I was set up. One case at the Wildberry Marketplace, I got accused of trying to steal, and I gave the food back, and I talked with the manager, and I left the store. When I was leaving the store, a sliding door shut on me. So I got shut in the sliding door and the glass broke. They accused me of felony vandalism. And the sliding door shuts on me. Doors aren't supposed to shut on people. They're supposed to open. If the door is shut, it's a violation of code, a safety code. And another one at Cypress Grove, I was just walking around Cypress Grove and late at night, and the police came by and we got arrested. But the police are supposed to have a letter of authority for trespass because it's a compound that's gated. The police did not have a valid trespass authorization, so they were trespassing when they entered the facility to find me, and so that was a problem in there too. And they accused me of some PK or something. And there was nobody on site, so it's kind of a silly scenario. But I was just there relaxing. But anyway, I'd like to get these things addressed. And I don't know who to complain because my attorney isn't doing the things they're supposed to be doing. It's been 10 months on cases that should have been dismissed already. Sure.
I'd like to ask one or two questions. We can't take any action tonight, but I wanted to get your name again.
Michael
Mullally?
Mullally.
Mullally.
Melilli.
And how long ago was the last time you put in a request to the Arcata Police?
2 months, maybe.
Okay.
2 months, 2 months or so.
And are you represented by a public defender?
I have a conflict counsel.
Conflict counsel.
I was gonna submit some more, try to submit some more requests later in the week or next week. To resubmit them.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yes.
When you put in a request, is that a written piece of paper?
Yes.
That is a request? And
Yes, there's a form. There's a form for I finally found them online too, but they didn't really have. They didn't really want to have them at the office. You can't tell me there's nothing at the office, but I got something at the office when I was there, and I wrote it out by hand.
Okay, and when you submit that, do you keep a copy of what you submitted?
Yes, I have them somewhere. I'm not sure where they are, but I do have copies somewhere.
Thank you.
Okay.
I didn't know where they were actually.
That's all right. Okay, well, we appreciate you sharing this information with us. We may be able to check into something that I can't take any action at this meeting because it wasn't agendized. But obviously he's got something for you.
Sir, have you had any luck with you, since Arcade Police Department does recommend contacting the Human Rights Commission in regard to their forms and their process? Have you had any luck in the past?
And this is actually the first time
Okay.
I'm aware that it's been brought
Yeah,
up.
'cause they
But
actually,
I'm aware that our name is invoked on forms that they have. So at least in that respect, the system is somewhat working.
yeah, I found on the website, it said, on the website, it's, the police chief says you can go ahead and contact them. So I'm gonna try that route, but I had somebody from the police office and city manager's office I was in contact with months ago, and they just quit responding. So they said they're gonna get back to it, and they didn't, so it's been, what are the new bills? The new bill, the 2 new bills?
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So, is there any possibility of any advocacy at the courts? Is there any avenue on that? Because this pertains to internet, Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil ICCPR. This is pertains to both of those human rights as found in human rights documents.
I don't feel like I'm in a very good position to give you a response.
Okay. Okay.
It certainly seems like something your attorney would,
That's one of the problems. The attorneys.
apparently there's a problem there as well, yeah. Okay, well, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. I am temporarily filling in for Larry, but I trust and hope he will be back with us next month. And as far as the correctional facilities, there are no new cases to report. As far as message line reports, for July 1st through the 15th, there's Jamie.
Yeah, there was one that I referred to you for the courts, but I think that was right before our last meeting, so you might have
We're
reported.
talking about the threatening one.
No, there was a jail one too.
Oh, and I've visited with
Yeah.
that
I
person.
think it was right before our last meeting, so,
Yes,
because that was like July 1st or
he had
something.
a female friend that was going to produce some documentation, and that never happened.
Got
So we're kind of dropped at that.
And then there was another one, series of calls that were threatening, and so I consulted with Jim and we referred that to the Eureka Police Department. A person who had called historically multiple times, I think Bergue and I had talked to them back in the fall. Called with some very threatening that I felt uncomfortable with at that point.
And I did report it to the Eureka Police. In fact, I was thinking about asking the gentleman that were here earlier what we should do, because I haven't heard back
Oh,
from the
interesting.
Eureka Police.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I didn't know, I didn't think I needed to take it too seriously, but on the other hand, it was threatening.
Right.
So anyway, it is reported and I will still follow up again.
Yeah, and then there was a carryover call that had happened in that time before the end of June. That I think I forwarded as well actually I just asked Jim about it and he kindly called her back. And that was just a woman, I think about immigration rights or citizenship rights related to ICE.
Right.
But I didn't talk to them, so, and that was it.
Okay. All right. And you did remind me that we were slipping on the aspect of
Yes.
keeping the message line log kept up. If you are on the phones, it takes just a minute or two to put a couple of words in each space, say what the call was about, what you did, what you hope yet to do.
Yeah,
Things like that.
would have been really, it was really helpful, honestly, in this one situation with EP or with the person who was calling threatening to be able to go back in the log and be like, oh, this person called 49 times before, right? And so there's kind of a history, and there was a contact information because this time they didn't leave contact information. So that was really helpful to have that. And that's where I kind of noticed like, oh, I was the last one to put in notes. And that was back in April or so,
Anyway, we want to make sure we do keep up with those as much as possible. I got back on that. Start.
and then I think I maybe didn't put mine in, but I will.
Well, you could scoot the others down, put them in the right place.
We have them, I just don't have them in there.
I know the problem with me when I'm on the line is to remember, where do I go get that log?
Oh, the log, just look up under message line. And in fact, that's where
Message line,
There's a Google Drive folder.
Yeah,
And then if you go to the Human Rights Commission Google Drive folder, it's under message line and then there's a call log. I actually keep my notes, this is why I have them somewhere else. I keep them on in a different place, and then I just put them all in at the same time.
well, while we're at it, why don't we? I will try sharing something else.
I just bookmarked that. So I have everything, I just bookmarked it and I went directly to it.
There's a, okay, it's Doreen's.
It's good that you do.
oh, yeah. It's that committee. That's so powerful.
I'm more, it's stopped by for a long time. I'm trying to.
Well, gee, nice to meet you there. Oh, I'll stick right.
I don't want to take too much time.
Actually,
It's a simple spreadsheet, message line 2025, and just follow the names ahead of you. If there are gaps, don't let that bother you about making entries. But the way that's useful in another respect is that in making an annual report to the Board of Supervisors on our activities, we can actually count the number of times we've had callers. Sometimes they are repeat callers, but that's okay. That certainly counts as activity. And I am okay. Okay. Oh, there it is. Anyway, now I can show you, I think. This is the current. So Lochte, you were up in February. Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think you should
I
share.
don't want to show names. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized that. Anyway, this is what the form looks like. It's got your commissioner, the date you checked, the caller name. I'm not quite sure what we intended when we put this call column in, but the caller phone number and the issue. And over to the right, what is the help that we provided? And that's it.
okay,
So it doesn't have to be a major workout, but it's useful information to keep on hand. Okay, all right. My report, I should have left it up. I had one jail call as well, requesting an in-person visit. I met with that person and it was determined that he needed legal advice as opposed to anything we could provide. So that was all I had during that period. And right now, Ellen is on the phones through the 15th, and Rick will be on the phones the 16th through the 31st. And that means we're taking volunteers for the 1st of September.
Jim, we did have 3 calls so far. Do you want me to get that report? Or do you want me to wait?
Let's wait.
Okay.
Yeah. Any volunteers for, do you want the first part?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll do the second.
okay. All right. Okay, committee reports. Sanctuary Ordinance Standing Committee.
I have nothing, but you had something you said that I don't know. You know it. I don't know what, essentially it's like what I.
It's a sanctuary day And I will share that info, since I can't access it immediately. I'll forward the email that I received to all of you so that you can see if you can participate or lend support to that activity. Under rapid response, there is no report this time. And Jamie, is there a report on the Youth Commission?
Yeah, summer's been slow, hit and miss. You know, we graduated our champions who had been really taking the lead. We got two, possibly three solid participants now, but with summer, people have been traveling. They've said a few times to me, and it really hasn't worked out. So we're working on the website. I think the website's pretty close to being launched. We were about to be launched, and then we needed a little bit more information. And then I went out of town. So that will probably be launched this month. We're putting together a packet that will go to HCOE, a recruitment packet to inform schools, go home to all the students in the schools. And that is going to go to HCOE, so it can be distributed to students in high schools at the beginning of the semester. That's kind of what we're working on. Meetings have been minimal as far as follow through. We're working on it.
Okay. Questions for Jamie? All right. Thank you. Cultural awareness, Indigenous people. Carol.
No report.
Okay. Technology, I don't know that there's anything to report. Guy?
Can we just jump, just 1 second, can we just jump back on indigenous? Did we ever hear from any of the tribes on the
Oh,
or no?
no. Am I correct?
No.
No
There's been
response.
no response whatsoever.
Okay.
And I know Lisa followed up on that.
She
She would-
mentioned that she would.
She,
I don't know that she
well,
did.
she was supposed to call you. I referred her to you to call.
She-
Oh, she didn't. Okay. I just saw her yesterday too.
Well, do you mind trying to reach her again? I have to believe this subject ought to be of some interest to the tribes. But
Timing was that.
unless we're approaching it incorrectly.
Could be them. Coaching from.
Well, usually when you send a letter to the tribe, it goes to their tribal support, their staff. And so sometimes if they don't think it's a higher issue, they may not get on their agenda. So in order to get on the agenda, a personal call would have to be done.
Or do you think a snail mail letter as opposed to
Oh.
an email?
Exactly. You could do that, but follow up and have a name, because otherwise, who they could contact, because otherwise, it's not going to get on their agenda.
Well,
Break
you
that out. I didn't send it. I didn't send USPS. I just.
Do you have
But
physical addresses?
I could probably find that, I would imagine.
Yeah, they would have them on their website.
I wasn't looking for physical address.
Understood.
Yeah, but I'm happy to print what we have out and send them USPS. And that's doable.
We'd have to modify the letter a little bit because
Yeah,
the deadlines have come and gone. But
and maybe the reply. I'm trying to remember what it said. There might be some small edits to how we'd like them to please reply to us for sending a USPS mail as opposed to, hey, reply to this email.
before I ask my next question, Peter.
So it's who it goes to and how it goes to them.
Yes.
Right? How about the tribal judges or the tribal attorneys?
Some of their tribal attorneys may not be local.
Right.
Yeah. So,
That only works for certain ones.
yeah.
You know, if you get 2 or 3 interested when they have that regular meeting, they can be presented internally by the meeting of chairs.
Yeah. The Tribal Chairman's Association. That's what it's called.
Right. And sort of how you think, yeah.
And that's what Lisa was trying to get on their agenda because her brother's the chair. And so it would be a really good avenue if we can get, Lisa needed a copy of the letter so that she could take it to
Well, I got
the
it.
tribal chairs. So if you send it to Lisa by email, because that's what she asked for was the letter, and I didn't have the letter.
Am I safe in assuming that the commission would like to not drop this at this point, but keep moving forward on it?
Keep moving forward. Yes, I think so.
Why don't I reach out to Lisa first? And then depending on what I learn from her, if we can take the next step as far as mailing out and maybe tweaking the wording just a little bit.
Sounds good.
Okay, right. I think that was going to come up later in the agenda, but it needed to be discussed, that's for sure.
Just back to the technology, I'm continuing to update the Facebook page, principally, issues dealing with ICE and human trafficking. That's the main things that I've been putting up.
If I send you the letter from Centro de Pueblo, could we add that to our Facebook page?
Oh, yeah.
It begins this weekend, so it's soon, but it's also next weekend.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, you'll have that tomorrow morning.
Okay, okay.
Do you think there'll be any ICE present when they have their event?
I don't know, they didn't.
Because they don't announce it, but if they know there's an event, I don't know that Humboldt County is on their radar.
The Home Depots are,
That's true.
just don't happen to have one.
But in Humboldt County, I don't think we've heard anything or anybody being.
There was nothing in the communication that I saw that indicated any concern about that. Doesn't mean there isn't, but they didn't cover it, so.
It might be a good idea to check with them before we put it out publicly on our Facebook page.
Good point.
So from Fernando.
I didn't see who authored it.
Okay.
Could have been him or could have been Greta. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for keeping up with that, and you'll get something from me as soon as I get it cleared.
Sure.
The next report would be from Constructive Conversations Committee. And that would be Rick.
Okay, so our committee is meeting and we have begun to meet with Mary Jelinas with the intent of providing a forum again, probably in late October 21st, 22nd, or 23rd. We're thinking of holding it probably at the Episcopal Church. We're looking at a registration, making it open to the public to up to about 50 people. And charging about $20 for that. We are developing a budget right now for that. And we've talked to Mary about goals and things like introducing people to some key concepts for constructive communication. Just learning from leaders how they deal with difficult conversations in the process of their work, and how they try to kind of just make constructive, create constructive conversations with the people with whom they work, and just to inspire people. Right now, she's looking at 4 likely panelists. I don't want to give the names public until she's had a chance to contact them, but a couple would be city council members, a couple would be city employees, attorneys or something along that line. we're looking at like 30 to 50 people. We're looking at maybe, up to 8 tables with 6 people each. And we are just anyway continuing to make progress along that way. One of the needs that though we do have that is not yet met is that we'd like to have a fund that could be made public and could be either sent online, also perhaps hard copies distributed. We're wondering if there's anyone in the commission who is comfortable in taking ideas and putting together a flyer that we might be able to use. We can contract, I suppose, with professionals, and also the council, the commission, I think, has some talented people. If there is some interest in that, we'd be real interested in exploring that further with you.
I'd be happy to make a flyer.
Would you? Oh, that'd be great, Jamie.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll talk to you a little bit more on that, but that's perfect. Okay. That's basically it, Bird. Yeah.
I just wanted to add a couple of things. We're looking at having the registration be online in a fillable PDF file. And Molly Kate is working with us. She said she didn't really know how to do it, but she was going to learn. But if somebody knows how to do it, you can get in touch with Molly and help her out. And the other thing is we're looking at using Venmo as well as checks so that people can register, send in their $20 if they use Venmo.
And I was going to ask whether or not we need to approve applying for the app so that we could be ready for that. I don't believe there's any upfront cost. There are 2 categories, personal and business. So I would entertain a motion to approve taking that action so that process is in place.
I would move that.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that?
What's the app?
It would be Venmo. It'd be where people can sign up for the event and pay online.
Okay, so it's a
And the money would
Venmo,
go directly to our bank,
right?
which is now going to be Columbia Bank. They're changing their name. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I have Venmo. I didn't know that.
Oh, you have it?
I think they take out fees for this.
So if you keep it in there for 3 or 4 days, no fee.
No, but for businesses.
Oh, business thing.
I think they do, just so you know,
So
so.
do we need to
I wonder if we
apply
could
for a personal one then? Or
I don't know, I mean, I'm just telling you, we might be able to look at, like, there might be an exemption for types of businesses. So it would be worth looking.
Yes.
okay, I'll be careful to watch for that when we go forward. Okay, well, is all those in favor of applying for a Venmo account, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Oh, no, it is not unanimous. Okay. Oh, further discussion?
No, that's okay. I'm just opposed to Venmo. I don't like Venmo, PayPal, or any of it.
Okay.
I don't want to enrich the people who are already billionaires in the country, so I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. That was my fault.
That's fine. I don't mean being on the spot. It's okay.
Okay.
I would like to respond to that because I don't like Venmo or PayPal or anything. But we are trying to get younger people and we are trying to get as many people as possible interested. And we need to use some of the things that they use so that we can get them to participate.
Yeah.
So
But just
I
to
don't-
comment to that, a lot of the young people are basically saying, screw that too.
Well,
They're changing their mind on a lot of it too.
okay, so how do they, are they writing checks?
That I don't know. I don't think they know how to write it. You don't teach people to write it. Sorry.
Something like that might be something we need, the kinds of things we need to discuss. Because we're trying to get younger people involved and trying to use the things they use. I know they quit really early. I mean, as soon as older people start using the stuff, they're gone with it. They want something new and different just for them.
Which is oddly going to segue right into our next report,
There you go.
which has to do with community outreach and engagement. And Peter? Would you like to report?
Just as a intro, you know, your discussion with Mike McGuire and trying to get something going around healthcare, and that's happening all over the community. There's all these efforts trying to make something happen. The difference between today and the last time things like this came up is that not a single one of the institutions that used to host this work is willing to do it. Not one of them, right? And so you don't have any aggregation of effort, right? Everyone will tell you it's the biggest crisis facing our community. But the institutions will not work together or sponsor a response to it. Right? And I directly asked the Resource Center, Open Door Clinic, Providence, Humboldt Area Foundation, all the folks who used to do it. Some of it's changes, you know. They used to be the sisters at St. Joe's were total activists. And, you know, you totally count on them to just jump into issues like this. But how do you get movement if you can't facilitate people working together? It's hard to pull off, right? So this is not a negative to it, it's what you're doing. It's actually really positive, but there's a bigger issue here, right? And the communities that are getting ahead are ones that are actually organized across lines. And the lead in California is Visalia, right? Visalia has done a lot of the things you're talking about. They're actually being studied as a real model because all the things they've done, but they work together and we're not here. I'm using that as an introduction because if you think about human rights, and our discussion the other day, the three of us who talked about it, we haven't faced this level of real danger, right? Since before the McCarthy era, right? There's Internews, which was started here, right, has never been liked by the right. Because they put their resources behind local people who make the decisions, right? They actually don't make the decisions. Internews got a call from the government. We talked about in Joe Rogan, 27 million followers. We're accused of things that are absolutely not true. In fact, none of the data was right. Got called by the GIO, and in 120 hours, 700 people, 120 hours from the first contact, right? 750 people were out of work. And the place was shut down. And there's thousands of people in places like Africa. And I mean, the impact's unbelievable. But the issue about ICE, right? The things we face today and the fact that, you know, we all know this. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir that evidence is not important. Due process is totally gone. Accusation is the only thing that is actually has any power today, and it's being acted on by the government and enforced immediately, right? So different country. We all know right now this is not the America that we used to believe in, right? So the question is, how do you get institutions to actually step up to the time we're in, right? And so many of them are fading away. People are afraid they're fading away. It's exactly the wrong response. So the question for the commission is, if you look at the people doing human rights work in Humboldt County, right? Do they see us as a tool, right? Are we a way to actually pump up the issues of human rights, put them more before the public, create a greater debate, greater visibility, and generate a greater community response? Is there a role for the commission, which unlike the other group, crosses all the lines, right? There's some different dynamics. Would that be actually useful to the people doing human rights work? And so the idea was to convene a group, younger people who are activists, and have them take a look at the commission, what the needs are in the field, the commission, and with answering the question of, could we be a better tool for human rights in Humboldt County? What would that look like? What would it take for them to be directly involved? What would make it important enough that they would want to be at this table? And what type of change would that require? And pull together a group, probably for like a half a day discussion on it, and then maybe a second one, and then report back. Right? Talk to a few people to see whether they would participate in that. And so far the answer's been yes. So thinking about people like Maricela Aceves Wexler, Rachel Montgomery, Layla Roberts, Brenda Perez, Fernando Paz, Ron White is helping think about it and think about how to structure it. We talked today for an hour about it. And so it's frankly, it's about challenging ourselves and our purpose, and are we rising to the moment? And if and it could be that the answer is just no, no in the sense that people don't see a bigger role, that they're staying sub rosa on purpose, right? And doing something to raise the visibility is actually not desired. Right, that could be where strategy is, or the answer could be, yeah, there is a bigger role, and they would get involved if they understood it, right? And so it's a proposal to pull together a group like that, and hold the discussions and see what comes out of it.
I think it's important to mention, as we all are aware, we are, as we are currently constituted, are bound by the Brown Act, which limits what we can do. It limited what I could say to our guest, and it limits the way we operate. But that doesn't mean there aren't some other ways we can be active and effective. I think I'm more worried about being effective than I am being active, but is there anything that you require of the commission at this point, or is it just a matter of getting those people together first?
I think it takes approval of the idea by the commission. And this would have all been written up, but there's no internet, and I work on the cloud. So I actually couldn't even open my programs. Yeah, but
Would you make a motion that you might have us respond to?
sure. Or would you do that?
I move that we approve the idea of forming a committee or convening some kind of committee of younger people to evaluate the Human Rights Commission as a tool with ideas of how we can be more effective.
I'll second that.
Okay. I hope I don't have to repeat the motion.
Ellen has it all down there.
This time I might have to watch the thing to get that all down. I'm not sure.
Is there any discussion on that proposal? Yes, sir.
I'd like to just add, today, I'm a member of the Citizen Advisory Group for McKinneyville Family Resource Center. And the group itself comprises mostly younger people. And I did talk to them today about the commission and just encourage them to consider participating with the commission, in part because, they really have voices that aren't always so much heard in the community. So I know a few were writing it down, but I would certainly be glad to follow up in some fashion, with what you folks are doing with that group. It's they only meet every 3 months, and we met today. So, but I think I could probably get some connections, get some emails, and if I had a specific proposal to make to them, to send it out. So anyway, some food for thought.
Thank you, Kate.
Well, when I first started here, we did that study about looking at Humboldt County's understanding of the Human Rights Commission. Perhaps we can go back and see if there were any comments made by community members that might be helpful in this endeavor.
Good.
Might be interesting.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion?
I guess just my thought, and I fully trust Peter and the committee. I mean, y'all are systems people and activists and get this, but I think one of the things that the survey missed, that process is, it was good for like finding out what people knew, but it wasn't good for like really like brainstorming and thinking about what could the Human Rights Commission do within the confines of our limitations. Right. And so I just would hope that like when this group gets together, it sounds like the people you listed off are like all intelligent people who would understand like these are parameters. What can we do within that? And like where are the places we can break out of it and do things in different ways? Still obviously following the letter of the law, but like there are places where you can like convene people or raise awareness or do things in different ways. So I just wanted to say that. But fully trust the committee to do that. So
I want to make it clear that I'm not critical of anyone here or
No.
anything that's
Oh,
happened.
thank you.
Take it that way.
no, I didn't think it's that either. I actually think it's a great idea. Super excited about it.
Well, that being the case, all those in favor of the motion to convene a new committee to study reimagining the Human Rights Commission, please raise your hand. That time it's unanimous. All right. I think you're off to a good start.
Thanks for indulging my rant.
Yeah, that's great.
A little background never hurts. Homelessness and behavioral health.
And me, but, I again spoke to two of our legislators. And, if you guys want to help out a little bit, there are a couple bills that you guys could send out notes. And if that would help, I could probably create a letter and then send it out. And then all you have to do is send it to the senators or assembly. But the two bills right now that are interesting, that are still pending, one of them, I'm sure you guys have probably heard about. Let me just get back to my note here again. When McGuire wasn't cursing, I actually he is quite an interesting guy. I can't quote it here at the meeting, but
You wanted to say colorful, didn't you?
it's a McGuire quote, by the way. Anyway, I asked.
Pass it around, pass it around.
I asked his aide if that was typical. They said, very much so. So apparently he's younger than my son, which is really scary, but really starting to feel more and more old. Anyway, Senate Bill 634. And if you're taking notes, the person who put that up is Perez. And that's the one that would essentially prevent people or communities from proposing bills to prohibit aiding people who are unhoused.
It would prohibit.
It would prevent communities from making legislation that I can't provide help to people who are unhoused. It's sort of it's basically it's a reaction to what's happened in Grants Pass. But even though that's Oregon, but communities in our state are doing the same thing where they're.
Can you review what has happened in Grants Pass so we know?
Well, they're some of the same stuff we've seen over here, but I mean, I call it the bum's rush. I mean, the other bill related to it all, even to this, the other bill that you could really help with, that already passed the assembly. So it is, unfortunately, and it's now in the Senate, and I asked McGuire to either kill the bill or try to change the bill is AB 630. I don't know if it keeps the same number, or if it suddenly becomes SB 630, but it's AB 630 is the Gonzalez bill. And basically that was to make it easier to impound people's RVs.
Oh.
And I recognize the intent. I told him, I said, I've run into a lot of people that I appreciate. I don't want to have an abandoned vehicle in front of my house or an abandoned RV, but by the same token, you know, we seem to do a lot of criminalizing. We don't seem to do a lot of helping. And I said, you know, I could see it if you have a community like Arcata had for a while, where they had an RV parking facility on Samoa, and they ran out of money. Arcata House ran out of money, so they closed it. So now the people who have RVs are back on the street, and basically they get a bum's rush every 72 hours. You got to move it along. And it's not a solution, and you know, it upsets everybody. So anyway, they passed the bill in the assembly to make it easier to impound them. And if you read the bill, they did clean it up quite a bit, but it's still a punishing bill. And so we asked, when I met with McGuire, asked if they could do something about either kill the bill or make the bill a better bill than it is and send it back to the assembly. So if you have it again, and if you want more information, I
Just send a little bit of information again, the key people to contact.
yeah, I can send you the legislative information.
Jim, were you asking what happened at Grants Creek?
Yeah,
I did, but yeah,
Right, good. They passed a law allowing them to arrest everyone. And it was a challenge based on free speech, freedom to, the Constitution went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court backed the city, which changes our national legal framework, making it acceptable for every city now to arrest and without challenge. So that's why Grants passed in this case. It's so horrendously important.
yeah.
For us to.
The other bill related to that, I'll send that information out to all of you as well as email, is 65. This is the housing bill, which is a really important one. Unfortunately, it passed one committee and in the assembly, but has now been held it's a 2-year bill now, so it's basically not going anywhere at the moment. So hopefully maybe we can encourage some movement on it to really do something, because obviously that's a big problem we have here too in our community.
did I hear you volunteer to?
I will send a letter. I'll send it out to everybody. Yeah.
The narrative that
Yeah.
you might want to see.
It's easy enough. I mean, like I said, I go to the Legiscan site and you type in the bills. The only problem sometimes is, of course, they have numerous bills sometimes that have the same number. You have to make sure that you get the right year. So, these are all current bills. So if you put in AP 1165, there was one 5 years ago with the same number, but it's a completely different bill. And you probably look at me and say, what the hell are you talking about? This bill's dealing with, something totally different.
Just a reminder that if Guy sends this information out to us, he's sending it out to us as individuals, because we haven't considered as a group the pros and cons of it. So
Just related to that same comment that you're making, we had a conversation, so we weren't beating the Brown Act on that or whatever, but I mentioned to you about that Brown issue. I mean, I think we're now at unfinished business. I'm hoping, because one other bit of information, we sent out a letter to the Board of Supervisors, and as far as I know, we've heard nothing.
you had a response from Mike.
I got a response from Mike Wilson, who said he wasn't familiar with it, so I sent it to him again directly. I still haven't heard back from him, but I do know that now that he has actually got it. But it is kind of disconcerting that, we send stuff out and I guess it's somewhere out in cyberspace.
Well, I have a hunch now that you followed up with that, we're likely to hear something back.
I hope. But the other is, again, kind of related to what Peter's talking about. With all these issues, so it needs some strong leadership that have backbone for some of these issues. So, you know, if they don't wince and don't do anything, you know, oh no, I can't do anything. You know, you mentioned with all the health thing, it's the same thing I keep bringing up to people. And the closest I get to anybody giving me any support is they keep telling me, well, if you could get your board of supervisors on board, or you could get your mayor on board or something, maybe we'll talk. But otherwise, they just sit there and go, I'm not going to touch it. And I'm seeing the same thing with this Brown Act thing. That the Brown Act, I understand why it's there, but I see it as a real hindrance for committees like ours, where we can't get people from outside our core community because it's too hard for them to show up. Because, you know, we're here at 7 o'clock at night. And of course, right now we have sunshine until almost 9 o'clock at night, but for half the year we don't. And I don't want to be traveling 60 miles, you know, one way, you know, to go to a meeting and then have to come back in darkness and everything. So I still certainly appreciate that. And so I have that bill, the Brown Act bill, where I made that one little insert, and I'd like to have us make sure that we agree to send it to the board. Let's hammer them on it so that they will, you know, it's not any skin off of them to support it. So I can then give it to our state assembly people and senators and say, let's change this bill because it's really hurting, you know, especially smaller communities, you know, like Humboldt. I mean, you know, we're not small geographically. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to explain in the bill. We're not small geographically. We're just small in population. And so if we're going to try to get people in, we've got to make some exceptions.
Not only small in population, but huge in territory.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I fully admit I may have dropped the ball on this particular item. But where did we stand? We have discussed this once before. Was someone, weren't you going to? I don't recall what we did.
I think we said we wanted to do something about it. I think you said that you were going to write something and send it to me and we would look at it. Well, I'm not even certain that that's what happened.
And try to check the bullets. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhere.
Is there some language that everybody would agree upon?
I sent it to you back, you know, this is weeks ago, that it's just an insert. It's, you know, it's the Brown Act.
Yeah.
And there's just one section in there where I, you know, said, I put it language, was hoping again, if anybody wanted to jury rig it a little bit more, whatever, but just basically making this clear, this exception, you know, especially for what kinds of exception.
What is the exception?
Just that, again, if people have to travel more than an hour or, you know, more than 30 miles or something, you know, that essentially that they could then perform what we're doing here on Zoom. Because right now we're prohibited to do using Zoom, and it just seems that irrational. I mean, especially for committees like ours, we're not dealing with anybody. The issue is all we are is an advisory board that seems to be ignored half the time. Which is also kind of.
Is that good? Is that good?
That's how I'm gonna support you. Betty.
All right.
I don't know whether that affected.
Well, I will resurrect that communication and get it going to all of you to review. Carol.
Under the homeless, like houseless,
I heard the houses.
I saw two young girls on 6th Street, just on opposite corner of the city police station. And they were on drugs and administering a needle right on the corner, and they looked like they were teenage girls. It was so sad. But then my thought was, what is happening when this is occurring right down the street? I mean, the same block. And could we have a report or maybe behavioral health from the county, or another agency that can share with us, what do they do in situations like this? I'm sure it's on more, like second and third, but I was really appalled that it was right across the street.
Well, the interesting thing that you mentioned there, second and third, is you notice we're now into summer, and I noticed that most of the people that had been tenting out on second and third have disappeared. Not completely, but it's probably maybe 10% of what was there. I don't know where the rest of them went. I'm sure they didn't all get bus rides to San Francisco. But it just sort of reminds me when I was living in LA in '84 when we had the Olympics and they took everybody out of Skid Row and sent them to Newhall, which is just the north part of the city, and said, don't come back for 3 weeks. And I'm assuming we've had some of the same kind of stuff here, but again, nobody talks about it.
They arrested a lot of them were moving out.
Was that?
The police, behind the co-op, the police were harassing everybody. They cleaned them out a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we've addressed everything except new business. AB 715 and I address it. Tonight is the gift. This one as well. Does this look familiar?
Oh, that's the education one.
This is your night.
No, I'd never get elected. You wouldn't want me anyway. No, I can't get elected. I will share a very brief story, but see, I take after two very radical parents. You mentioned McCarthy. In 1949, China fell, became communist. And the American general that was there during the war wrote a book, and he referred to Chiang Kai-shek as Peanut, and he was referring to his genitals. Yeah, he obviously hated him. This guy was named Stilwell, very, very famous general, who was over at the Bikini Atolls test. They wore all those stupid little badges, making sure you'd be safe from the radiation. And they got covered with ash. And he started wiping his arms, and all his hair was coming off of his arm. He was dead 3 years later from leukemia, as many of the soldiers and sailors that were there. We don't talk much about that either. But his book came out on China, and the FBI ordered all the copies to be removed from the libraries and bookstores, and they went to the bookstores and asked people who they sold them to. And they came to my house. I was a little kid, so I don't remember any of it. I just told the story. Knocked at the door, and my mom was there, and they wanted the book. My mom told them to go to hell, slammed the door in their face. That was the end of it. But, but no, I can't run for office.
We're on a list somewhere.
There's a legacy.
Now I'm on a list.
No, I don't think. Well, I don't know. Maybe we got new lists that are starting, right? When my dad passed away in '92, I contacted the FBI and found the 60-page, freedom of information packet that they had, because they were tracking him because he came from Russia in the 20s, as a little kid. And you just sit there and go, oh, Jesus Christ, they're chasing after little kids. I mean, he was, how old was he? 15. And from 1927 until early 50s, they were tracking him. And the only good thing that was out of the whole thing, for me anyway, as a genealogist, is I found out who his high school social studies teacher was, because they interviewed him. 20 years after he graduated high school.
Wow.
So they're going, this is insane. This is money that we spend on going after people. So no, you're not on the list yet,
That we know of.
but maybe you should sit a little further away.
I do have an Alexa at my house, so I'm sure somebody's listening.
Anyway,
Sorry.
AB 715. That one also, by the way, passed. It's stuck in the Senate right now, and I'm very hopeful that it will. But basically, it's called the Education Equity Bill, and essentially what it does is it creates an anti-Semitic coordinator to safeguard, I guess, all our students that history teachers like me don't indoctrinate them too much in the wrong and thinking in the wrong way. And anyway, it passed the assembly, I think 68-0. Only 2 people either didn't vote. You know, I don't think it's an abstention, so they were probably absent. But it passed overwhelmingly because everybody wants to do the right thing because, you know, nobody wants to be anti-Semitic, at least in California, officially. But the problem with it is it's supposed to protect us all, and yet they make a carve out strictly for an anti-Semitic coordinator. And I said, wait a minute, it seems like you're preferring one faith over another. And I said, you know, I'm rather nervous about that because once you open the door, then it becomes a mess. And we're supposed to be, people keep forgetting in the United States that we have freedom of religion. We also have freedom from religion. And therefore, you've got to be careful because if you open that door, we're seeing it right now with the US Supreme Court with some of their rulings that suddenly they start making a mess for everybody. So anyway, long story short, AB 715 passed overwhelmingly in the Assembly. It's now in the Senate. And I'm hopeful, at least according to our Senator Pro Tem over there, Mr. McGuire, that maybe they will keep it in the Senate and not let it go out at all. I did give a suggestion because I'm not a bad person, I don't think. I try to compromise with things, and I said, you know, make a carve out for people who teach English and social studies in the bill, because when I've taught subjects, I do have incorporated in the past, you know, notations telling people some of the subject matter is difficult, some of the language is difficult, especially when it's older, and therefore, you know, there might be the N word, or it might have other things in there, or you might, you know, talk about homosexuals in a way that we would find very offensive today. And I said, but that's what education is about. You introduce all these kinds of things to them, and you also show the progression. So I asked for a carve out in it. The other thing I asked is that, quite frankly, there's another bill which is already a law, AB 2925, which, again, you don't need to be writing it down unless you're really, really interested. But it's already there. The language is already there. And this is all the knee-jerk reaction to what happened with the Gaza protests that obviously continue, at least on a lower level right now. But we'll see what's going to happen. But at this point, again, the bill's stuck in the Senate, and I don't know whether it's going to go anywhere.
So shall we just continue to monitor this?
Yeah, I think that's what we'll have to do.
Okay. Well, at this point, we've exhausted the agenda, but I am open to items that anybody may wish to have added to the next meeting's agenda that Guy hasn't already thought of. Any thoughts or suggestions, issues that I'm not aware of?
Well, you tell stories about red parents.
I move we adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn for the evening. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you for a very interesting meeting.